Did you know that in the early 2nd century, a Christian bishop was so eager to be murdered that he addressed letters to the churches he passed on his journey to Rome, urging them not to interfere on his behalf? Ignatius of Antioch was his name, and his narrative is one of the most outstanding in Christian history. Ignatius was born about the year 35 AD in Antioch, Syria, now Turkey. He was a disciple of the Apostle John, who rose to become the Bishop of Antioch. One of the most influential Christian communities of the period, he was a fiery and outspoken preacher recognized for his strong leadership. He was also a brilliant writer, and the 7 letters he left behind are among the oldest Christian works we know. Despite his position of power, Ignatius experienced severe persecution for his religion. Ignatius was imprisoned by Roman officials and condemned to death in Rome in the year 107 AD. Ignatius of Antioch was not afraid of death. In fact, he seemed happy with it. He announced his wish to be martyred in a series of letters to the churches he traveled through on his way to Rome. But before we get too far into his narrative, consider how he came to be such a symbol of Christian faith and courage. Ignatius of Antioch was a 2nd-generation Christian who met the apostles in person. He is frequently shown in art as a young man with a beard, wearing a bishop's mitre and holding a cross. He was born into a noble family in the busy city of Antioch and grew up surrounded by luxury and money. But as he grew older, he became aware of a terrible emptiness within his spirit, a yearning for something higher than his goods. He was saddened by the poverty and misery he witnessed around him, and he began to wonder what life was all about. He was also worried by the Christian community's divides, and he wished for a time when all Christians would be unified in their beliefs. This restless search for significance drove Ignatius down a road that would forever alter his life. One fateful day, he met a gathering of early Christian leaders. Their unshakable faith and altruistic compassion for others stirred his heart, kindling a renewed spiritual appetite. Ignatius converted to Christianity and committed his life to promoting the gospel of Christ. Ignatius rose fast through the ranks of the Christian community at Antioch. His fervent lectures and gentle leadership motivated numerous others to fully embrace their religion. As word of Ignatius's conversion spread, he became a beacon of light in the Christian community of Antioch. His impassioned lectures and gentle leadership motivated numerous others to embrace their religion totally. Ignatius was named Bishop of Antioch, a position he held with unyielding dedication for numerous years. As Bishop of Antioch, Ignatius fought relentlessly to bring the Christian community together. He visited other churches and talked with other leaders, pushing them to put their differences aside and focus on their shared religion. He considered the church to be one body, with Christ as its head. He urged congregations to obey their bishops and adhere to their teachings. He also cautioned against the perils of false teachers, whom he saw as attempting to split the church. Ignatius's career as bishop was not without difficulties. He was opposed by both pagans and heretics. Pagans were anti-Christian and frequently persecuted Christians. Heretics were Christians who held ideas that were believed to be contrary to church doctrine. Ignatius faced each of these difficulties, but he never wavered in his faith. Despite the challenges, Ignatius remained faithful to Christ. He wrote letters to the churches, encouraging them to follow his example and remain strong in the face of persecution. He also expressed his joy at the prospect of martyrdom, believing that it was the highest honor a Christian could achieve. However, when Christianity grew in popularity, the Roman Empire, governed by Emperor Trajan, regarded it as a challenge to its power. Because of his unwavering beliefs, Ignatius became a top target for the government. He was apprehended and sentenced to death before being taken to Rome for execution. Ignatius's arrest and punishment were a pivotal moment in his life. He recognized he was nearing death and began contemplating his life and beliefs. Bound in chains, Ignatius of Antioch embarked on a perilous journey across land and sea towards his martyrdom in Rome. But even in the face of death, he never lost his faith or his love for Christ. He wrote 7 letters to churches along the way, known as the Ignatian Epistles. The Epistles are some of the earliest Christian writings that we have, and they offer a unique glimpse into the early church. In the Epistles, Ignatius expressed his desire to be martyred, and he urged his fellow Christians not to intervene on his behalf, writing, "I do not give orders as if I were someone great, but I ask as a fellow servant with you. I beg of you, Allow me to be food for the wild beasts, which are the means by which I can attain God. I am God's wheat, and I must be ground by the teeth of wild beasts, so that I may become pure bread for Christ. And I do not want to die by a human hand. I want to be offered to God as a pure sacrifice, unstained by human touch. I want to be given to the beasts as food, so that I may be united with Christ in his death. I long to be with him, and I know that he is waiting for me. Ignatius's words are a powerful testimony to the strength of his faith. He was willing to die for his beliefs, and he did so with joy and anticipation. Ignatius's trip led him to various cities in Asia Minor. His first visit was to Smyrna, where he met with the local church and urged them to be faithful to Christ. He then proceeded to Troas, where he boarded a ship heading for Neapolis in Macedonia. From Neapolis, Ignatius traveled overland to Rome. Along the way, he stopped in Philippi, where he met with the local church and again encouraged them to remain faithful to Christ. Ignatius's journey was a long and arduous one. He was chained and guarded by Roman soldiers, and he was often mocked and jeered by the crowds. But he never lost his faith or his love for Christ. He continued to spread the message of Christ to fellow believers, even in the face of death. Ignatius arrived in Rome in 110 AD, where he was thrown to the beasts in the Colosseum. He died bravely, proclaiming his love for Christ. His death was a great inspiration to Christians around the world, and it helped to solidify his reputation as a martyr and a saint. Ignatius's death caused a great deal of turmoil and uncertainty in the early Christian community. Many Christians were afraid that they would be next, and there was much debate about whether or not it was right to die for one's faith. However, Ignatius's example ultimately inspired many Christians to be more courageous in their faith, and it helped to strengthen the church in the face of persecution. In the long term, Ignatius's death had a profound impact on the development of Christianity. His writings, which were collected and preserved by his followers, became some of the earliest Christian documents. They helped to shape Christian theology and practice, and they continue to be an inspiration to Christians today. Today, St. Ignatius of Antioch is remembered as a courageous and inspiring figure who showed the world the true meaning of Christian faith. His story is a testament to the power of love and the importance of unity in the Church. His legacy continues to inspire Christians today. His willingness to die for his faith reminds us that love is the most important Christian virtue, and that we should be willing to stand up for what we believe in, even when it is difficult. His writings are still studied by Christians today, and they continue to offer guidance and inspiration to those who seek them. In fact, Ignatius's writings are so important that he is considered a saint by the Catholic Church, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and the Anglican Communion. His feast day is celebrated on October 17th. In the Catholic Church, he is also considered a doctor of the Church. The city of Antioch, where Ignatius was born and served as bishop, is still a major center of Christianity today. There is a church in Antioch dedicated to St. Ignatius, and his relics are said to be buried there. I hope you enjoyed this video on St. Ignatius of Antioch. If you did, please like and subscribe to our channel for more videos on Christian history and theology.